What's up, everybody? It's your boy Red X Black, and I'm back with another video. So we're gonna be talking about good old Johnny Boy right here, John Sullivan, because he's been in the news recently, especially online, because he adds quote unquote credence to the theory about there being Antifa and BLM activists mixed in, disguised as Trump supporters, who were behind the riots and the siege on the Capitol building. It was Antifa, it was BLM. At first, they were hammering it was Antifa. Now it's been blamed on BLM, and they're still calling it Antifa. But you know, they kind of conflate the two together. So here's good old John. He looks a little deranged in this picture. But yeah, let's read a little bit about this, because this story blew up, and from when I'm gonna read this, you're gonna see a little bit more about why it's misleading to call him a BLM infiltrator, because from this story, it seems like he's a grifting agitator rather than an actual activist. I mean, he may support activist causes, but it seems like he just causes trouble everywhere, not just here. So let's read this. Ever since pro-Trump's insurrectionists stormed the U.S. Capitol last week, some people have tried to blame the attack on other groups, namely Antifa and BLM. A false Washington Times report, which spread like wildfire, claimed Antifa members had been identified at the riot by facial recognition software company. As it turned out, the men identified by the software company were actually neo-Nazis. Ooh, not Antifa. And the story was corrected, but not before Congressman Matt Gaetz cited the original false story on the House floor. In fact, some people are still talking about the false story as fact, despite being corrected. And that's the problem. There's a big problem with people getting a fake story or jumping on something that just came out that ends up being misleading, but it's too late because it's already out there, you know. And you can't put that genie back in the bottle. You can try to tell people, hey, it's been corrected, but they don't trust the fact checkers. They don't trust people, you know, who say, hey, I mean, you don't even really have to be a fact checker. If you just find out that, hey, this story was misleading, they got it wrong. No, they didn't. It was really Antifa. It was really Antifa. They were really there. They kind of go off into this rabbit hole, okay? Because when you're skeptical of everything, you don't believe anything unless you believe things. You only believe things that you want to believe, even if that thing that you're believing is fake. But you'll still believe it anyway because it's where you're at. Now there's another story spreading like wildfire, which is also fake. A man named John Sullivan was arrested for taking part in the Capitol Hill riot. He's being paraded as the poster boy for the BLM involvement in planning and carrying out the insurrection. First off, you know how much organizing it would take to actually just really plan this out and really cause this riot? Because like they act like Antifa and BLM activists are like some sort of like special forces super spies or something, and that's just not the case. You may have some people that are good at, you know, causing chaos and organized, targeted riots and controlled riots is different, because you have a lot of during the summertime, especially when they were having protests and riots. One of the biggest issues was just random, just absolute chaos. It was anarchy. It would just happen randomly because people would agitate it. But those are just randos off the street. They start throwing stuff at the police shoot tear gas. Next thing you know, everybody scatters everywhere. People start breaking windows. It's just chaos. It's not targeted or controlled. It's chaos. This would have taken like precision targeting. And now that we're learning more about, how did people know what rooms were where, and how to get here and how to get there. So that's why they're talking about it being an inside job, but not in the way that these people are talking about. They're talking about Antifa was the people behind this, and no, that it's not that type of inside job. People in the government were helping them. That's what the theory is now. The official story, the official theory. But let's read a little more of this. I'm trying to. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the main part. This is the kicker. I'm gonna click on the Twitter thread, and it's gonna go through this from November of 2020. The problem is Sullivan was kicked out of BLM protest movements in multiple cities months ago. In a long Twitter thread, a group called Rebellion Baby detailed the various protest groups around the country that had cut ties with Sullivan. Okay, characterizing him as a possible agent, provocateur, infiltrator. See, now they thought that he was an infiltrator. At least BLM could identify him. These guys just let the dude walk in. All he had to do was throw on a Trump hat and then waltz right in. And that's why some people are thinking, or they think that, oh yeah, of course Antifa could infiltrate it. But that's an easy way. And he's filming himself. If this was some secret spy agency, or no, secret spy Antifa infiltration, it wouldn't have been publicized like that. They wouldn't have filmed themselves doing that. It would have been kept quiet on the low. You wouldn't even see it. But just him, all he did was throw a hat on. I don't even think he had it on most of the time. He just walked in there with them, and he was like I think he was with the CNN camera crew or whatnot. I don't know, but yeah, like this is not some sophisticated like plot or thing. Now let me go to this Twitter thread. I can't say Twitter, but here's some of it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. It says John has been kicked out from the Salt Lake City and Portland protest scenes due to alarming behaviors, including grifting, profiteering, self-promotion, clout chasing, sabotage, and community actions, threats of violence, and maybe mostly disturbingly ties to the far right. So now they think that he's a far right infiltrator, and you can see the date right here, November 26, 2020. That was months ago. So you can see that he doesn't. People see him as a grifter, and it seems like he is grifting. He might be grifting off of both movements. So you have a lot of these people who are just agitators. They literally go into crowds just to cause problems, and they may or may not be even a part of an organization. They're just lone wolves. They just kind of come and go, and they go on to the next one, and then they cause chaos there, and then go on to the next one. And that seems like what John Sullivan is. Now, whether he's genuinely an activist, I have no idea, or whether he's just just playing around, just trying to clout chase, as they said. He might be a clout chaser. I don't know. In short, John's brother James is the co-founder of a pro-Trump organization called Civilized Awakening, and has strong ties to the Proud Boys. Oh God, not the Proud Boys. And having spoken at a Proud Boy rally, the brothers' polarized political stances conveniently boosted the others' public personas. So, you can kind of do that sometimes. You have one believes this, one believes that, and you can kind of mooch off of each other in a way. So, I mean, I guess it kind of, you can say, hey, look how bad these guys are, and then the other one can say, hey, look how bad these guys are, we got to fight back, whatnot. And you can just kind of go back and forth as a symbiotic relationship. And that maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know. It's a strange situation. This guy is a strange person. But yeah, he's not some Antifa type dude. He seems like just one of them lone wolf type people, just kind of comes and goes. And because when I first saw the story about him, I thought he was a journalist, because that's what it seemed like. But no, apparently he's just an agitator. Now, I know some people are going to get mad at this whole entire video. I don't even know how long it is. But some people are going to get mad at this whole entire video. They're going to be like, yeah, he was Antifa. I mean, this happened in my comment section all the time. They come and they just invade my comment section with, yes, he was Antifa. It was this, linking me to these random videos and stuff like this. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just reporting. I'm being open-minded. I'm looking through this, okay? Because I just want to, you got to make sure you get everything right first. And this adds more context to the story, because people like to jump into a story with no context. however you say. Why can't I talk? Anyway, they like to jump into stories with no context. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm providing more context to this because people want to really they really want Antifa to be in this whole, they want them to be involved so bad that anything and everything is going to help their story. So this is just supposed to help their story, but they're doing it without the context. And that context is that he's an agitator. He seems to be just an agitator everywhere. If he gets kicked out of, protesting organizations for being a grifter or being, violent, too violent. They were talking about how violent BLM and Antifa were, but they're kicking him out for violent tendencies and threats and stuff like that. So you see, BLM gets more flack than it should because during the summer protests, there was a lot of riots, but there was an overwhelming majority were peaceful protests. And I'm sure even the people who said they burned down all the cities on earth, I'm sure that even those people will admit that, yes, there was a lot of peaceful protests. But guess what? You have agitators. Agitators get into the mix and they get all hyped up on adrenaline. And next thing you know, they start smashing windows just like that. What was that guy? It was that he ended up being like a biker gang member. He was going around smashing windows and they caught him on video, the umbrella guy. They thought he was a cop and he was like smashing windows. He had the umbrella full black on with like with shades and stuff. He ended up being some like biker gang member. I think it was a white supremacist biker gang. I don't know. But yeah, he wasn't even like Antifa, no, none of that. So yes, you do have infiltrators in some of these situations, but with the differences between what happened at the Capitol and what happened during the summertime. During the summertime, that's a lot of different type of people just combining, just going out there. With this event was like, I don't know who hosts. I know Trump, this was Trump's promoted event. He was the one that asked him to come out there saying it was going to get wild and everything like that. So it's primarily Trump supporters flying from everywhere to one place. The BLM movement happened all across the country. You did have people who traveled from here to there. They were traveling from city to city, but they weren't going for one leader, one person. They were going for a protest. It was for a cause, not a person. So, I mean, you could say that Stop the Steal is a cause, but still the main attraction is Trump himself. And I know that they've been having rallies in DC for days and days, but the main purpose was for Trump. The main attraction was Trump because he was going to be speaking there. And he was promoting it, saying, come out here. It's going to get crazy. He was saying that on Twitter. So, I mean, and then on top of that, before he went out, they were like hyping them up, when Trump gave that speech. And he was like, you got to fight back. You can't take your country back with weakness. And I know people would be like, hey, he didn't necessarily say to go out there and, go burn down the Capitol building. But in a way, it's like he's implying them to do something. And I know that he always leaves himself this small wiggle room to be able to get out of it by saying, I didn't technically say to go do this. But he got to understand that these people are angry, they're upset, and you've been telling them that they're losing their country and now they have to fight back. And with a lot of them, they're armed. They like to the military role play, the military simulation, the militia types. They have gear and ammunition. They probably got a "Don't Tread on Me" flag and a "Blue Lives Matter" flag right back to back. Some of them may have a Confederate flag, as you can see. There were Confederate flags there, but some of them have been preparing for this type of thing for years, and now that they have an actual like targeted, focused reason to do something, because before it was just anti-government, during the Obama administration, anti-Obama, even some Tea Party types, but the Tea Party types were a little more upper class. Some of these guys are a lot of more working class folks. But then you go all the way back to the 90s, where a lot of this started to build up from, when you had the big anti-government militia movement of the 90s. Then you even had some attacks in the 90s, like Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombing. You had the what was his name, Eric Rudolph. You know Eric Rudolph, that was a weird story, but Eric Rudolph. Then you had Ruby Ridge and Waco. All those things happened during the 90s, and a lot of those people, they've been building this up since. So I say all this to say that you got to give context to the stories, and that's what a lot of people don't do, and they end up just going off the deep end because they never, and their followers go off the deep end because they never give context to the stories. So here's the context. Yes, John Sullivan supports BLM. He said he supports the notion of Black Lives Matter. There's the organization, there's the organizers, and then there's the statement itself. I believe that Black Lives Matter. That's the statement. That's what you believe. Then you can support the organization of Black Lives Matter. So, or support the movement of Black Lives Matter. Two different things. But those are small distinctions that people will never really make. So, yeah. But on top of that, he seems to be an agitator and a not very welcome guy at protests. But yeah, now everybody knows who John Sullivan is and what he's about. And it seems like he just drifts and goes here and there. So that's the context. That's the video. What do you guys think about it? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, like, whenever you do it, however you do it, wherever you do it, just do it. It's your boy Red X Black, and I'm out. Peace.